quiet. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you for being with us today. It looks like everybody dried out. Some of us looked a little wet when we got into here today, but it looks like we're managing to get through this very rainy day. And we got a little extra sunshine here because we're going to hear some Tchaikovsky and some Prokofiev violin concerti today. We're very happy and honored that Amy Oshiro Morales from the Philadelphia Orchestra is here as our guest artist. Let's all say hello. And we're going to hear from Daniel Chi and from Jiaray Shi. I mess it up all the time. Somebody has to mess it up. I can't speak on Saturdays, you know, after half the day with all of you. So Daniel will be performing first. He's going to play the first movement of the Tchaikovsky violin concerto up to a certain point, and before the cadenzas. And Daniel is a student of Chuck Parker, and will be accompanied by Judy Kim. Daniel?
virtuosic, right? Like it was, right? Virtuosity is, the definition is like where you do something that we all know is really hard, but you make it seem really easy, right? Effortless, right? And that's what you were doing. It was excellent. So with this, I'm not gonna change any like fingerings because you really know those very, very well. But the thing I thought maybe I can be a little bit helpful with is that I always think, as a soloist, right? This is a concerto. This is where you will stand in front of an orchestra. You'll stand in front of a piano, but you'll be in front of the orchestra, and you are it. Okay. So everybody in the audience is focused on the soloist, is on you. So you really want to convey always to the audience the best sound, the best, the clearest intention. Like, I am taking the phrase here. I am creating this color. I'm going to change it here. This place is going to be, this is going to be really full, right? Your job as a soloist is to really convey at all times a very clear picture of your intention, of what you plan, of what you're trying to do with this piece. Okay. So I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about your tone. Okay. In the opening, you played really, really great. I was just noticing that in many places you would kind of stop the bow in between bow strokes, and I just thought, it didn't seem like you were really intentional about it. It seemed like maybe it was, sometimes you were just in a habit. But I felt like every time that happened, we kind of, it like stopped us from getting the full picture of the phrase that I think you were trying to show us. But it was just sometimes like maybe involuntary. And so I just thought maybe we can just do the opening, right? And I always feel that the opening of a piece is very, very important. It is the first impression that you leave with any audience, right? Whether it's an audition tape or a concert, it's the first impression. And first impressions are they tend to be important. They, as humans, we kind of like base a lot of things on our first impression. Okay, so I always think that the opening of any piece is really important. If anything, it's like tons more important than like the last page of a piece, right? By the last page, people kind of like know what you're about, all right? But the first page, the beginning, is really where you introduce yourself and introduce your sound and introduce your style. And so I always feel like I bring a lot of attention to the beginning of pieces, okay? All right, so do you mind just starting at one, let's start it again. All right, so I felt like, now I'm not gonna remember, but I felt like maybe sometimes you stopped your bow in places. Maybe I'll play a little bit. I'll just start. Do you want me to, I'll just go. Stop my bow at any point. Yeah, and I felt like that's probably what you intended as well. But I just did notice that sometimes you would take these little pauses here and there. So maybe, can we try it one more time where you really are going to keep that beautiful sound going, that your bow doesn't have any like breaks in the sound. Okay? All right, try that one more time. That you were very much, your bow kept singing, right? I just feel like when the bow kind of stops, the singing also stops, okay? So that was beautiful. Then here, I thought, okay, you're maybe creating a little bit of a darker color here, but I would maybe caution away from getting too quiet, okay? So here, do you mind playing that with me? Make sure we can hear that. Because I think you were trying to create different colors, but you can't tell like this. And I feel like, right away the audience can't tell what you're going to do. So I would say maybe don't drop your sound so much. You can change your color, maybe deepen it, make it darker when you're on the G string, right? Right, so it sounded like maybe you just lightened up the bow. Let's keep the bow in the string, but maybe just change the color, but without the volume. change it. All right, do you want to just, I don't know, just somewhere around? Yeah. Dog. Now still sitting here. Thank you. Now show them before the sound. Maybe you were just a little nervous and you just needed a chance to like get it out. All right, but now it's beautiful. Like there's nonstop singing that you're doing, right? So right, you want to really show them like your rawest sound here. Okay, so now I hear you doing it. And then you're going to sing. And then here I thought maybe you can use a little bit more bow. Look a little bit more like you want, very light. You have to imagine like there's 3,000 people in a typical real concert hall, right? Or maybe 2,000 people, right? But 2,000 people, right? How you have to make sure your sound reaches that really back seat, right? I see people like sitting really far in Kimmel Center where I work, and they bring their binoculars. Like I literally see that all the time because they know they're sitting there, but they're still like this on the stage. Okay, so you're playing also for them right there. Okay, so if you go, it becomes very hard for them to tell what's happening. All right, so. Right, so I think that even when we're lightening up and the character, we don't necessarily have to lighten up all the sound, right? It shouldn't just but you're doing a great job. So I don't know, anywhere around there. We went past that. Yeah, how about for the chord? Somewhere around there. You want to do the run? Long time to practice all those little notes, all right? So, I want to make sure that my sound is focused, that they hear da 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 da, that they don't hear no, right? Because I think that this is a place, right? So maybe right here, think about your sound. I don't mean to make it a hard sound, but I would say it's going to be less impactful. Okay, so I would say maybe slightly slower bow. I think I'm right in the middle, but I'm not necessarily going to the tip. I don't know, somewhere around there. How about that? Yeah, somewhere there. Actually, that was great. That was great. I feel like I can hear that difference. I mean, I'm standing right next to you, but I do feel like the quality of your sound changes when you're thinking about focusing your sound. All right. Maybe the last thing I just want to mention for that passage, I do kind of notice your violin. It's like leaning downward. Can you bring your violin up a little bit more, because we really also want to be conscious of where the F holes are facing, right? So I know when we're little, we all go like, oh, this is you know, but I know, but there's a reason for that. It's because they don't want the kids to play like this, right? Because instantly a little kid will play like this. You want the F holes to be facing outward, okay? So when you're going versus, do you hear, like, right away, there's a difference in the way your sound is being produced and where it's going. It's going to the floor. What I do versus, all right, so it maybe right there, keep your violin up as well, right? And you look great too when you're doing that. Okay, but thank you for that focus. You want to just do that again and keep going. It's very, very nice. Keep your violin up here. It's written like that, but it should look like yum, right? That change of bow is just because we were forced to change our bow. We shouldn't sound like we change our bow. Right? I want you to sound more seamless. And then, hold on, and then, so, one place, where are you? Oh, you want, make that legato as well. Right? It should be very, very seamless. Right, but yeah, it's all about maybe connecting a little bit more with the bow. Right, but thank you for your violin up. That was great. Do you want to go? I don't know. Is that a good place? No, yeah, no. Is that okay? Connect. Yeah, that's what we. What part of the bow are you in? So maybe not quite at the tip. Sometimes that happens because we're at the tip. So. Right, so you can be maybe a little bit more legato if you're in the middle. How's that? We're supposed to show them what a gorgeous G-string sound a violin can have, right? Your violin has. Right? I just think you can have a little bit more depth with that, right there at the G-string, right? Do you want to go one more time? And connect your bow and keep your violin up. Right. That's great. And this is the last one. That's the sound. Yes, that's it. You know what you were doing? Your vibrato was matching your bow stroke. So, right there, your vibrato is the most important part. Right? right? And you did a great job. And I always think like, yeah, right there, I connect the vibrato and I connect the bone strokes, right? And it's all about, I always think like, a pianist cannot sound like this, I'm sorry. A piano is a great instrument, but a pianist will never have that deep, so whoa, 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 right? And some cellists will have it, but I want the cellists to be jealous of your sound, okay? Which I can see that they absolutely could. But you have such virtuosity, so it's so wonderful to hear you. Thank you so much for playing.
Our next performer is Jiaray, and Jiaray will be playing for us the first movement of the Prokofiev second violin concerto.
Okay, so, full disclosure, I have not played this concerto, but I have played a lot of Prokofiev, so I know this style, right? Prokofiev is a lot of contrast, right? You go from this high register to a low register, right? And then you go from like really da 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 da, right? It's kind of like, it's almost like, you know, shocking. Like we just did a symphony last week, and I always feel that way whenever we play Prokofiev, because that's, you know, that's part of his genius as well. So obviously you know this very well. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to like play parts of this the way you are, because it's I can't. But you sound beautiful. So maybe again, so I just maybe have to ask, when you're creating the contrast, sometimes it seems like maybe your violin can't handle quite the amount of oomph you're trying to like get at it, right? Like we're always limited to like what we're playing, and you know, you were probably small a couple years ago, now you're quite big, and you know, how you play the violin is quite different than just a few years ago, right? It seemed maybe a little bit at times, it got to a point where it took away from your tone, because I think maybe you went after it a little too hard, right? So I just again, kind of like how I'm emphasizing with the Tchaikovsky, but I want always for us to like embrace, you know, be able to understand your tone, but always to be able to embrace your tone. It's very hard for audiences to get behind or scratch, right? And I'm not saying you are that way, but you know what I mean? Like, if you notice when you're performing, right? Like that, like today my violin's a little stiff, or like, it's rattling or something, right? That really is like your indication you need to back off right away, right? Because it's just, it's people don't really understand noise, they understand tone, and they're expecting to hear tone. If you're saying this is a percussive piece, okay, fine, they're like, but Prokofiev is not percussive. But yeah, I felt like maybe sometimes in your, let's see, is it as forte or fortissimo? You know, when you were doing, how is it? Yeah, like it was, there it is. Okay, so it's just forte. Okay, it's forte with accents. Okay, so maybe it's the accent that gesture that maybe like seemed like you got to a point where the violin didn't want to give anymore, right? And like I always say, like, my violin like fights me back. Like, it goes, no, I'm not doing that, right? So if you have to come to that place where it's just enough, but not more. Do you want to just try that? Maybe it's a little bit about also bow speed. It might be that you need a little bit of, well, let me see it again. Do you want to go, so this is around 13, somewhere before it. I want to see how you get into it. Actually, face me, sorry, face me, yeah. Sorry, I have to watch the music a little bit, yeah. Yeah, so I think right now there's a little bit of throwing around, right? So even the first note, even that, I felt like it was just a little too much. So maybe that's a situation where you have to place the bow rather than throw the bow. So, yeah. Oh, you actually have a rest. Da-da-dum. That's your place. That's your opportunity to place the bow. So, yeah, let's try that. Just, can you do the measure right before 13? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Place your bow. And I would vibrate. Let's vibrate the accent rather than just thinking of it as pressure from the bow. I don't know. Versus, right? like that. But it's just a long passage. This is like 15 bars of the same bow stroke. So it gets tired quickly to the ear if you don't create tone sooner. Okay, so let's think of the accents as vibrato, but you're going to place the bow. How's that? Yeah, you're placing very well. I hear what I call a rattle. Like, do you hear where it goes? Yeah. So that's also maybe an indicator to you that, like, this particular violin, right? And you might not be with the same violin all your life, but this particular violin doesn't like that much pressure. So maybe a little less pressure, okay? Which is helpful. I feel like I hear the beginning of your sound, right? When you don't place, when one throws the bow, I'm just making up notes, I know, but you hear how like there's a crunch and not really the pitch, right? And when you place, right, like we have a chance to hear what that tone is. So now I feel like I'm hearing a lot more of that. So it just does mean that maybe you got in a habit of really like digging in, and you have a man's arm and a man's strength, and it's just, you're like really giving it a lot, but the violin is quick to complain, all right? So yeah, so I think this is a place where definitely you and your sound and your violin benefits from thinking of it as more placing, and that accent, those accent marks that he writes, da 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 ba da da, those are more vibrato, da 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 ba da da, rather than da da da. Okay, so I think definitely here. I want them, so turn to them and do it again so that they can hear that passage. Okay, but placing, and I would say maybe we could even use a little less bow, Okay. Lower half, stay in lower half. A little bit more bow than that, but you're using like the whole half, and I would say try just a little bit less, okay? But I want this to be more about vibrato. Yum, bum, bum, bum. Creating the gesture that we're looking for, but without the ugliness, right? Anything that's not tone is sorry to say, it's ugly, all right? I mean, some people think, and don't be fooled, don't ever think that if you scratch on stage that nobody hears it out there. I don't know why, but I've heard tons of people say that to me. Oh, my teacher says, like, when I scratch here, it doesn't carry out there. Of course it carries out there. It absolutely carries out there, okay? But again, scratch is noise. Okay, so I think that for me, I prefer what you just did just now. I thought it was great and absolutely beautiful, and you have such great control. Okay, so that's what I love. Do you want to do the opening? So I love. This is kind of ominous. It's kind of scary. What's working? Okay, what's happening? What is this? Right? It's not like Mendelssohn. La 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 la. Right? This is like. Right, so let's create that like kind of ominous color. So I would say that's darker. It's like maybe a deeper sound. It's like a growling sound. Okay, so let me just hear what you're doing again. I definitely loved that you got that dark color. So it sounds a little bit pressed. Maybe you were trying to play it a little big. I didn't necessarily mean bigger, but let's still keep some beauty in it, even while it's ominous. I'm just going to try it. create maybe still beauty in the sound, okay? Right? You as soon as they hear, I just think this is just human. If you hear or see something beautiful, you like want to keep looking at it. You want to, right? You see a beautiful girl or a beautiful dude on the street, and you'll just oh, who's that? Like you'll just want to keep looking, right? And same with a beautiful sound. When you hear a beautiful sound, you'll just be like, oh my God, what is that? What is that? Oh, I didn't expect that, right? And you remember it, right? So I just always want to I never want to lose that ability to create that beautiful sound, even while you're creating maybe an ominous character. Okay, so still have a little bit of use. So maybe it's just a little bit of vibrato, and it's a little less pressed. All right, try that. Oh, that's great. Did you hear that? That was so good. Yeah, really good. Seriously, that is absolutely that is what draws the listener right away. Who wouldn't want to keep listening to that, right? The people who don't know this piece, they're like, oh, right, wow. That's how they react. Okay, but as soon as you kind of give them, I don't know, something a little tight sounding, then people start looking at their watch, start thinking about what they're going to eat for dinner. You know what I mean? They start going away from music. And what you did just now, you were drawing us in, right? That's powerful. That was beautiful. Keep going. Da, da, da. And then this is brighter. So when I see the word crescendo and forte, I can see, you're getting into the brighter place, which I like. Maybe they could still have vibrato, right? I feel like you start a vibrato and then you stop, and then you start a vibrato and stop. It's just, it could still have some vibrato. I'm playing wrong notes, but that fits in. How is so unexpected, right? All right, but even as you're brighter, I just want you not to go to that place where it goes, maybe to harsh. You weren't harsh, but I felt like you're on the edge of it. You're on the edge. Okay, so let's create the brightness that we're looking for, right? And that you're still going to maybe maintain a sweeter bow stroke. Okay, try that. I don't know. Yeah, that's great. Sorry, this is going to be a little bit of a violinist thing, but right now I'm hearing this. I feel like I hear a lot of noise coming from your throat. Yeah, the stick is going to move a little bit. The stick is more active. actually more bow than you're supposed to. Alright, and then once you're doing your crescendo, that's very much just a détaché. Okay? So just again, very beautiful sound is very easy to do. Right? So yeah, I just want to get rid of that there's just an extra noise I'm hearing in your stroke. So could you try it one more time? So it's a little lighter. It's a little bit shorter stroke. Yeah. I think that's, yes, very, very good. You're a little bit stiff here. Like, I don't know if you're nervous, but you're a little bit. Maybe a little bit of wrist can help that. Yeah, yeah, that's where it was. Just do one more time. Very, very nice. Are you doing it at the tip on purpose? Try it slightly lower than the tip. Rather than here, try it a little bit lower, and then yeah, I just don't want to hear like the down, up, down, up, down, up all the time, right? Like it should be more seamless. Here, da 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 da. Make sure that last note is an 8th note and not a 16th note, right? So you have a little time. Whatever the you can have a vibrato there, right? It shapes the note. If you don't vibrato, then it sounds da 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 da, right? Da 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 da. But that was very good. I was just maybe you could still do it in that part of the bow, but it's just I think you need just a little bit more wrist in there, right? Because it starts to sound a little rigid. Okay, so yeah, just a little bit. All right, and then keep going. Da, 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 da. That's great. Beautiful. Bravo! I'm serious. Like this is like fantastic. I don't know. I know you guys have to run to class, but like, do you guys have any questions? Do any of the students have like any kind of questions about? I don't know. About I played with the Philadelphia Orchestra. If you have any questions about the orchestra or about studying music in college or I don't know whatever you want to talk about. I mean, it's okay. You don't have to ask, but I just thought if there's anything that people want to
Come on.
Oh, and thank you so much for our lovely pianist. Thank you so much. Of our study, right? She represents what the ensemble that we have to practice doing, and she's playing really hard parts. By the way, these concertos are not. They're not a walk in the park. People have to like really work on it to get it to sound like this. So thank you, bravo. I'm just saying, like, if you guys had any questions, we could chat. But don't be shy. I'm just a violinist. Sure.
Actually, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So when you mentioned about like hearing the tone, if you actually haven't yet mastered to play that tone, like how can you hear it in your mind?
Okay, so I would say it's always right. We're always trying to like get tone or get better tone or improve our tone. And you're right. When you don't know exactly what that is, how do you know where to go to? So I often would have. I mean, my teachers were. I was just very lucky. I had teachers who were really great violinists, and they were playing at the lessons. So I could tell right away. Oh, I don't sound like that. I could hear the example of my lesson. But I mean, YouTube is so easy to like turn on now on our phones. You can go and listen to great examples just on the internet right away. I'm talking about, professional violinists with, real recordings out there. I'm not talking about like that high school band, but I would say there are examples that you can hear all the time that are just easy to access. So I think that's helpful. I think sometimes in the lesson, if you feel like I know that they want me to do something, but I don't get it. Like if you feel like that, I would encourage you to like just ask your teacher, sorry, could you show me what you're talking about? Like it's sometimes hard to learn in just words, right? Sometimes it just takes like literally like the one stroke, go like this, and you can go, oh, I get it. So I kind of feel like it would be good if you could seek out the examples, like look for them online, like listen to 3 good representations of like that part of that piece, right? Or if you notice that somebody is like really good, like a friend, a colleague, another person, like listen to what they're doing, just so that you get it in your ear. It's a chance to try to get it in your ear. But I think I was always listening to a lot of recordings when I was growing up. My parents they wouldn't buy me like toys and things like that very much. They were just really typical Asian parents. They didn't buy that stuff, but they bought me recordings because they were like, you have to listen to Hayfits. They didn't even know who Hayfits was. They were like, Hayfits. But we got 3 recordings. They were on sale. So like they would buy me recordings, and I would be listening all the time. And so I feel like I actually still do that even today. When I have to work on something like a solo repertoire or a chamber piece that I have to kind of learn quickly maybe, I turn on, like when I'm brushing my teeth or folding the laundry, like I turn on a version of that piece from YouTube. And I'm just listening to it. So listen to the tempo, listen to the style, listen to some of the rubatos that this group takes, and I listen to another recording. Like I'm still doing it all the time myself. So I just feel like just reinforcing what you think is right with like actual recordings is very helpful. Very good question. Yeah.
Anybody else?
With the violin being a difficult instrument to play and master, is there a way that you've developed in your journey how do you find the joy when the stresses are put upon the children to perform and be? How do you keep that joyful, happy feeling going?
Yeah, you're right. There's always times where it doesn't feel like joy. It feels like, oh my gosh, I have to learn this piece. It's so much harder than I've ever played anything before. And I can't believe that concert's in like 2 weeks. How am I going to get it there? Right there, it's hard to have joy while you're practicing in those kinds of constraints. Or that you feel like tired of a piece, or you feel like, I don't want to practice anymore. I don't want to like listen to violin music anymore. Like I would say that's part of the journey of studying anything in an intensive, very highly critical way, right? That is part of, that's expected. Everybody's going to feel like that. I feel like that often, actually, still. To me, I always ask myself, and maybe this started like when I was kind of younger, maybe I was like in high school, but I remember being like in the practice room, just being like fed up. I couldn't possibly practice anymore, but I was still so nowhere with these pieces. And I remember thinking like, well, what if I just said, I'm not going to play it, I'm just going to be one of the people listening to it. And when I thought of it that way, for me personally, I always thought, well, wait, I don't like that either. I want to be the person on the stage doing it. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy a little bit of listening, but I think I want to be more a part of like what's making the music more than just the active listener. And so I kind of still give myself that question sometimes when I'm like really like, oh, this is so much work. I still think, would I rather be at that concert in the audience or would I rather be on the stage? I kind of still give myself that question. And I've never once answered personally that I'd rather be in the audience. I've always answered, no, I guess I'd rather be somewhere on that
That was
stage.
the main question that you asked yourself to keep the enthusiasm?
Yeah, that was like a big question. Because, well, if I want to be on stage, then I guess I have to be the one working it through. They're not going to let me on the stage if I'm not able to play. Right?
Would a simple question like, do you still want to do this? Like I asked my daughters if they continue, because I see sometimes they get like whatever, but I think I want to just make them happy. I want them to be happy. I don't want them to endure the stresses of music, because I feel like music is just a beautiful thing. So
Yeah.
I'm just looking for some experience.
Music is a beautiful thing, but as we know, like, working hard at something
Sure.
is not always a beautiful thing.
Sure.
And I think, to really know that there's, right, the job that we have at hand may not be beautiful every moment,
Right.
but the result of the concert will be beautiful. You'll have tears in your eyes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you'll know the journey that your
Sure.
child went through. So it will be an extremely beautiful thing what they're going to present on the stage.
I'm just looking for the words to present to young children's minds to keep them encouraged,
I mean, it is special. I
Yeah.
also have to say, it's special to be able to play.
It
this
is. It's hundreds
I-
of years
yeah,
old,
and
to be a part of it.
I've met so many people who've come up to me at concerts saying, "I've always liked music. I never could play an instrument. We couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
I couldn't be around it." And I always think like, oh, I'm glad that they still like know that they love it, but there's like definitely sadness when they're talking to me about
Yeah.
that. They're like, it's not even envy, it's really sadness. They're like, I wish I could have like had a chance. So I always think like, it is special. This is special. Like the parents who are creating this environment so that a kid can go and study and pick up this instrument, play it more than just like 5 minutes worth. It's a really special environment you're creating for your kid, and so many kids don't get it.
Yeah.
And so I, right there, I just think like you're in this very lucky group that, where you're around people that value it and appreciate it and are willing to spend money and time and the atmosphere for you to like be able to have that in your life.
Yeah.
And it stays in their life, their whole life. It really does. They become the concert goer. They become the person who picks up the program. Oh, I know this piece. I've played this. Or I know a lot about this composer. I've played a bunch of things from this composer. I mean, they become very, very knowledgeable when they're listening too. It's something that they don't have to be a performer to keep that knowledge. It stays with them. So I feel like studying music it's a special thing. It's a very lucky thing. It doesn't always feel lucky being in the practice room doing it, but it is extremely lucky. So I don't know if that's an answer, but
No,
I do think of it as like, would I rather be doing it or not doing it? No, I think I'd rather be doing it. Okay, but like, what is it that we're doing? It's so special. People are crying in the audiences for real. Like when I play.
Sure.
And sometimes I'm like sweating because I'm like, oh, this is so
Working
hard.
it, working
Yeah, I'm working it. But then I look out and people are like this. They're clapping.
Yeah.
Like that. And I'm like, oh, wow, I reached them.
You
Okay,
connected
it
to
was
them.
totally worth my sweat.
Yeah.
I can value it because
sure.
of that as well. So.
Oh,
It's a
thank
lot.
you so much.
You're very kind.
Thank you so much for being with us and being with our family here.
Oh, I'm very impressed. Thank
And
you.
I just want to remind everybody that next week there are no rehearsals, no ensembles. It's our spring break. But that doesn't mean we don't keep practicing because we're getting close to concert time. So please keep it up, and if you check with your teachers in case you have individual lessons. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.